Yeah, man. Let's roll. Hey, what's up? Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube, everywhere we're going. Bob Mortgage Nation is live here today, and I'm super, super excited because, man, I got a guy that I'm just so thankful and blessed to have part of the part of our company, part of the team. Jordan Powell out of Nashville, and I know we have a long relationship. At least you and my brother do from a family perspective. But man, I'm just super excited to have you part of the team and looking forward to what we're going to be able to accomplish together. But this is just really kind of a meet and greet for everybody to get to know both you and I. We got a lot of stuff that we're going to go through, and main thing is just really getting to let the community know who we are and what we're about and what we're looking to do there in Nashville. That's an amazing community, and I'm super stoked and ready to hit it up. So, man, welcome aboard, Jordan.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm
Yeah.
excited to be here and excited to be the Tennessee office of Bob Mortgage.
Oh, absolutely, man. Well, you got a lot to do there, and I know you have connections all over, given the relationship that you've had in the music industry for I don't know how many years, 25 years.
23 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, so your relationships I know go well past Nashville, and I know we're going to tap into that in other markets, but obviously our primary focus is what that community has given to you and what you've given to that community for those 20 something years. So,
Sure.
man, let's talk. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, I know maybe some of the people that are going to watch it know you, but maybe not all of them do. So give me a little bit of feedback, man. Married, kids, what were you doing before this? Just kind of give me some high level stuff.
Married, two kids, 14 and 2. A little bit of an age gap. Some people would look at it and say we got bored, but as you can probably see behind me, that way, you see the
Uh-huh.
Texas flag. I'm a Texan through and through, born in
Wow.
Dallas. Graduated high school in Colleyville, Texas, near DFW Airport.
Yep.
Went to Texas A&M while there. Immediately fell into the amazing music scene that they have there.
Yeah.
And it's long been a hotbed of music. You have people like Lyle Lovett and Robert Earl Keen that came out of there. When I was there, a lot of the Pat Green band guys were there. Jack Ingram guys were there. So just fell into that scene. And after several years in Texas,
Yeah.
finally graduated Texas A&M. Some people go for 7 years and come out with doctor. I went for 7 years and just came out with 1 degree, but
You graduated, brother. That's
I
good,
did,
man.
took the scenic route.
Yep.
But after a couple years out of college, finally realized that the majority of the music business that I was working with was in Nashville, and
Hmm.
moved up here in 2006. So I guess it's been 15 years that
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been in Tennessee.
Wow. 2006 is when you made the move. So you're an Aggie. Okay.
Hmm.
I got it. I got it. And Robert Earl, that's who I mean, when you get into Texas country music and stuff like that, I'm a South Texas guy, and obviously, the history with my brother and stuff like that. I mean, it was Robert Earl. I mean, I remember falling in love with that stuff, and road goes on forever and the party never ends, man. It was like for us who grew up in small town Texas. I mean, you went to the ranch, you went to somebody's, you know, um, back area behind their house. And I mean,
Field,
it's,
yeah.
yeah, it's a field, and you get a little fire going, and you're sitting there listening to Robert Earl. And I mean, now granted, everybody that was listening to this, I was younger back then. I may have popped a Miller Lite, Bud Light, or something like that. But I mean, it was just fun to kind of sit back and relax and listen to his music. It was storytelling,
Sure.
storytelling at some of the best. And it wasn't some of the storytelling we hear now that and not in just country music, but in other industries and other musics, genres of music. There was a lot of negative stuff. This was all positive stuff. It was like kind of fun stuff to tell a story about. So.
Well, and
Yeah.
those guys in Texas, like Robert Earl and Lyle, they
Mhm.
capture so much of that spirit of Texas. And man,
Yeah.
that's, so much of that state, that's what it is, from things like, we were talking about barbecue and
Uh-huh.
the weather and the outdoors and, all of those things that are unique to Texas that
Yeah.
some people outside of Texas may not get or understand.
Yeah. I got a story. I was, it was after college because, let's see, I think, I was in, no, I was in college, and it was a calf ride out in Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And we went out there for the game. It was Texas versus Texas Tech, and one after the game later on in the night, evening, early morning, call it 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. We're at the Sig Up house, and we're sitting there, and this guy's just going at it and singing Robert Earl songs, man, and it was stuff that was awesome, and he's making up his own stuff. And come to find out, I'm sitting there with Pat Green at
Mm-hmm.
that time, who was still in college, right?
Yep.
And or getting out of college at that point, and he was just like, the music that he was playing, it just kind of brought me back to like high school when I was listening to Robert Earl. He was just at that point amazing at that age, and had no idea I was sitting there with a pretty big star at that point.
Well, and what's funny is, like, I lived with Pat's guitar player when I lived in College Station and was in school at A&M. And some of those relationships that I built, one being with your brother, several other ones, are still relationships that are big for me in the music business, now. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I stay in touch with a lot of those guys, and, still continue to do business with them, whether that's from a touring standpoint or, just keeping in touch and knowing what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. My brother. Most people don't. I don't even know if they know his name, Troy. But what does he go by? His handle's Tracker.
Yeah.
Is that the way
But I was
that?
thinking, since you're BobMortgage, maybe we should dub Troy Management.
No, I think he's had Tracker way too long to get rid of that thing.
Yeah.
Well, the key thing there is, and you touched on it, the relationship aspect of that, because that's what you're doing with the company now, and you and I together, you're spearheading the relationship that we're going to have, not only in the music industry, but obviously just out there in Nashville and other markets that we're going to go into. But relationships are core to the way that you've always operated.
Yep.
It's speak to that a little bit, because that's really important on how we're going to build that platform there.
Sure. Well, my job for most of the 23 years in the music business was as a tour manager. So, whoever your favorite artist was that comes to town, I tell people I was the one who got them to the church on time, kept them out of jail, counted the money at the end of the night, all of those things. And one of the core principles that I had on the road is, the people, when you're working with an artist who is on their way up,
Mm-hmm.
all of those people that you work with, eventually that career is going to peak, and you're going to be on the downslide of a career.
Right.
You're going to pass those same people on the way down that you passed on the way up. So if you leave things better than the way you found it, you take care of people, you work well with them, you're nice to them, you treat them with respect, that's going to come back around. And, in 23 years, I hesitate to say there's probably very, very few people out there who, I can say that was not the case.
Man, I love that. I mean, that speaks to just who you are, your core belief, and that's important, because we want to help. I mean, especially in the roles that we're all in, we want to help more people reach their goals, right? And that ultimately helps us reach ours. But so we focus on being a servant leader and helping other people. So I think that's a great transition into kind of what you're doing with BobMortgage, and why you looked at this and saw this as the right opportunity to take on there in Nashville.
Well, and that was one thing too, as you and I talked, and began to work together. That was one thing that really struck me. You talked about your three pillars, and one thing that was important to me is delivering what I said I was going to do, whether that's being on time, whether that's holding up an end of a contract for the artist that I'm working for. But, run over again, if you would. Tell me about the 3 pillars and, how
Yeah.
that's important in the mortgage industry.
Well, yeah, I think it's important just in general and overall life, right? I mean, my 3 pillars are to educate, to communicate, and to execute. The education piece is super, super important. That's the servant leadership piece. That's the part that we want to work the hardest at because we want to give everything to everybody, and that's going to help them accomplish what they want to do. Now, whether that's a client or it's one of our referral partners, we're the experts, right? So let's make them and bring them the knowledge that they need to make sound decisions, right? We need to educate them on the types of loan programs that are available. We need to educate them on how to achieve the lowest cost of ownership over the period of time that they're going to keep the home. I mean, we're debt managers, really. We're putting people into debt, but I need to minimize the amount of interest or the cost structure that they're going to have with the debt that they're taking on for that mortgage. So it's really about the educational process that comes along with that. And then we need to communicate, and communication is I mean, that's everything, right? Because you need to be able to proactively communicate, not just
Sure.
communicate. Reactive communication, I feel, is a pathway to bankruptcy. So you have to proactively communicate. As the experts, we're supposed to see around the corners and advise our clients and our referral partners of what's coming up next, and if there's any potential challenges that we need to navigate through. So the quicker we bring them into those conversations, the better relationship that we have, and just being focused on the proactive side of the communication and just execute. I mean, that goes back to exactly what you said, just what you say you're going to do.
Sure.
Right.
And everything, in the music business, in the mortgage business, everything isn't perfect or isn't rosy, but the better
Absolutely.
that you communicate that with people, it's easier for them to understand, make a plan around, and figure out together as a team.
100%. I completely agree, because if there's a potential challenge, okay, and you don't bring the parties in when you see the challenge arises, then you maybe lose the opportunity for 2 things. One, for them to help you solve the challenge, but 2, for when you solve the challenge, nobody knows that there was one, and then you don't look like a hero. You're a zero,
Yep.
especially if the challenge doesn't get resolved. So you have to be really smart and just know that, look, these are my partners, my referral partners that I've built long relationships with. They trust the fact that if I'm going to bring them into a situation, that I'm going to be transparent and then
hmm
lay out the next opportunity or steps to resolve it, right? Not just the challenge, but an actual potential resolutions to that
hmm
challenge. That's the key there.
Well, and I'll tell you the story of my house that I'm in right now. I've been here in this house for 9 years. I had a friend who went to work for a big national lender
Hmm.
when it was time to buy this house.
Hmm.
I decided to go with them. This house had been flipped. It had been, bought 8, 9 months before, completely redone. So went to buy the house, was pre-qualified, got all the way through, no problem, no problem, no problem. Get ready to close, and all of a sudden get a call, hey, sorry, we can't do this FHA loan because the house was
Flip.
sold
Yep.
9 months ago and it flipped. And, we're going to have to go conventional. Well, we all of a sudden changed everything, reapplied, went through the conventional lending process, get to the closing table, have almost the same issue, and conventional slashes the value because, they didn't understand why the house was as expensive as it was, being one of the first in a neighborhood that had just flipped.
Yeah.
So, I was sitting there a month and a half after we were supposed to close with
Hmm.
no lender, finally found someone who, you know, got me done, pushed it through, was able to close and,
Yeah.
finalize the house. And I mean, since then, I still have a wonderful relationship with her and have sent her plenty of business because of that.
Right.
And, you know, uh, that piece, it's so, you know, it's so scary sometimes when you're in the middle of that because most people aren't educated on the mortgage process. They're trusting someone that they know or have been
Hmm.
recommended to guide them through that. And when there's really no communication other than, hey, we've got a big problem here at the last minute, man, that's,
Yeah.
it's a really tough thing to deal with.
Yeah, and those are things like we all have, we all play by the same rules. We all have the same guidelines, but we don't actually all do it the same way. So in your situation, yes, there is a flip rule with FHA in 90 days and all that stuff. And there's, if it's bought within 180 days, there's 2 appraisals. But all that stuff can be figured out in the very beginning. When you go to the title company, you get your title work in a 12-month chain of title, right? So you'll see who has taken ownership over that period of time, and that's what should have alerted a lender. And look, we all live in a glass house. We're not going to throw stones, but at the same time, it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility to ensure that when we put out a pre-approval letter or when we get a contract, we fully vetted it, so much so that when we do that letter, you do that contract, that we know that you're going to be able to close on the house because you've probably already made an investment in something. You've told your family you're moving. The agent on the other side, both sides are expecting a commission check, and the seller is going to be buying another house. There's a lot that goes into it. So it's not just about getting a loan. It's about ensuring everything can execute on the other end of that contract at the end of the day. So those are things that we work hard at, and it's what makes us different. I mean, if you really look at our process and understand how we operate, I mean, we have our inside sales agents that are talking to clients about credit, cash, and capacity at the very initial conversation, just so they understand what it is, what's the market rates, are the markets for credit scores, right? What do we look for? What if your credit score is down to 500? How much is that going to take? And what is it going to look like with down payments? And then the cash, what is their goal, right? I mean, are they trying to get in for a minimum amount of pocket, or do they have a certain amount of money that they want to invest in it? And then capacity is just where we're documenting one's ability to repay the loan, right? We talked about their job. So it's really just the inside side gets the application and the documents, their pay stubs, their W-2s, their tax returns, their driver's license, all that stuff. Then this is where the I guess uniqueness or differentiating factors come in, is we move it to a stage 2, and this all happens within a 2 to 3 day period, so it doesn't take a long time. But stage 2, what that person's going to do is scrub the file and make sure that they have all the documents in, whether it's child support orders, anything that could be out of the ordinary. And then stage 3 is my junior underwriter, and they're going to scrub that file and they're going to actually underwrite the file, pre-underwrite it before it ever goes into a contract or gets into an opportunity to write a contract, right? So we're doing all that within a 2 to 3 day window. So that way, when I get on the call with a client and we're going over rates, we're going over cash position, and I'm showing them an analysis that breaks out maybe 2, 3, 4 different home loan options, which one's going to deliver them the lowest cost of ownership, I know that this loan is fully vetted, and I can be confident that when we deliver that pre-approval letter, it's going to close, right? And so that's a process. It's a system. It's very manufactured, but it's designed with videos that go out introducing the team and personal videos from the person that's taking the next steps, so that they feel really good about the experience they're about to have. And then when I get on the phone, it's like, all right, we got all this stuff. Let's get you under contract, and we can close this thing in 18, 20 days, right? I mean, and they're very, very excited, and they're confident to go make that offer. And that's how we tie everything together with the client and then the referring partner, because we're going to bring them into that conversation and make sure that they get it copied on that video, the home loan analysis video, and everything. So, those are things that really set us apart, and what's going to help us establish our platform and our presence there in Nashville.
Well, and as you were talking, it reminded me, it's one thing for somebody who has gone through 2 or 3 different mortgages in their life and, kind of understands the process. But I remember going through and buying my first home. I had no idea. I mean, I think I'd learned in some kind of college math class how to calculate a mortgage, but I didn't understand any of the things that I needed to do for it. I mean, when you bought your first home, did you have any of this understanding of the mortgage business the way you do now?
Man, Jordan, that's an excellent question, because when I bought my first home is like a couple of months after I got in the business, and I didn't know anything, right? I got in this business in September of 1996, so roughly 25 years ago. I got in the business September 96. and I got married in December of '96, and we closed on our first home in December of '96. So all within a couple of months, right? And it's a little $60,000 house, and I thought, okay, yeah, let's buy the house. Well, I didn't know I had to qualify. I didn't know I had to make a certain level of income. I didn't know I had to have a certain amount of cash, and I was in the business, mind you. Okay.
Yep.
And I quickly realized, okay, I haven't been self-employed for 2 years, so you can't count any of my income. My wife wasn't making enough money at the time to qualify because our, student loans and everything for that little house. So we had to get a cosigner, right? We had to go to her grandparents, get a cosigner for them to, help us qualify. And not only that, we didn't have the money to buy this $60,000 house. So we were getting married in December, and her grandparents were giving us $10,000, and we decided to take 5,000 and elope and get married. We went to Jamaica and got married, and then we took the other 5,000, and that's what we used to buy our house. So I quickly, it was a crash course on how to buy, and I think, I service loans from 10 million down to 50, $60,000, right?
Hmm.
But I love and I have a passion for those first time home buyers because it's something that I had to experience, and now I can teach them everything that I learned through that process. And not only what I learned, but for those that are on the fence about buying, or should they rent or not, I can tell you that's the best investment we ever made. I pushed aside my ego, and I needed help, and I got her grandparents to help me. And that little $60,000 house sold for 2 years later for a whole heck of a lot more money.
Yep.
And it's propelled us into 12 homes since over that
Hmm.
25 years. So it's been a blessing for me. And anytime I can share those types of stories and help other people, it's definitely it definitely motivates me, excites me, and it's one of my biggest passions.
Well, and you touched on another point that we had talked about. Uh, the last several years that I have been in the music business, one of the things that I have gotten the most joy from is going to Belmont, University in North Alabama,
Yeah.
different schools, and lecturing their music business students. And I'll do that every semester, sometimes a couple times, or sit on panels and be able to share those experiences with people. So, obviously, you like to educate as well, and I know that that's one of the pillars you talked about. But
Right.
do you think that's different from some of the other companies that are out there doing mortgages, or do you think that that's an important piece of it?
Well, I don't know. I don't really focus so much on what others are doing. I do know that what we do exceptionally well, and that's we put out a lot of content. I mean, if
Hmm.
you look at us on YouTube, you look at us on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Snapchat. I mean, you could just search Bob Mortgage on any of those channels, and you're going to see the amount of content that we put out, and mostly all of it is focused on education,
Yep.
educating, and it's mortgage education, but also I do speak a lot on motivation, right? Because I believe, like, college did teach me a lot, but what I learned in sports and how I've utilized all those opportunities for learning, people call them failures, I call them opportunities to learn, those challenging moments. I learned from that, and then it helps me in business because it's not always rosy every day, right? I mean, there's
Right.
always going to be difficult days. There's always challenges in front of you, and we need to be the people that can, buckle down and say, okay, I got this. It's okay. I'm going to make this happen. And you learn that in sports. You learn how to be a great teammate. You learn how to be a leader of a
Hmm.
team. You learn that people are going to depend on you and what that dependency means. So I talk a lot about that also on my channel. And then I talk about my life experiences. I mean, I've been in this industry 25 years. I've had some amazing successes, but I'll tell you, I probably lost more money than most people have made in their careers. And it's caused me some heartache, right? And those times were tough. I had to put a CFO in federal prison. And those are tough moments, but they're not failures by any means. They're
Sure.
learning moments. You figure out how to pivot and take responsibility for the things you need to take responsibility for, but then figure out how to make sure that it doesn't happen again, so that, one, you can move forward, your company can move forward, but then you can also help other companies who didn't think they were in the same position, but really they are. And
Right.
so I share a lot of those stories as well, because I know that can help someone, if we help one person through any one of our videos, then I felt like we've done our job.
What's your favorite part about being in the industry?
It evolves, right? I mean, I think my favorite part is when the client ultimately gets the home, and it gets them in a place where they were paying 100% on an interest rate because they were renting. That's what you pay, guys. You pay 100% interest rate when you rent. And then they get into a house, and in today's market, they're paying 2%, in the twos right now. But,
Right.
I mean, they're getting something significantly different, and we've helped them understand the power of that investment and what it does to their net worth. I mean,
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
a really fun moment where I know I'm changing that person's life. But it evolves. Like right now, doing things like this. I mean, this is what I'm most passionate about, is having live shows, having events. I mean, we're going to come out to Nashville, dude. We're going to rock it. We're going to have some
Hmm.
amazing events, because I get excited when I'm in front of people, small groups, but big groups, and I'm helping them see something maybe through a different set of lenses that they never saw, and then be able to take action from my words. That's kind of where I've motivated myself, and where I've grown as I've matured in this industry.
Sure. Well, one of the things too, talking about maturing in the industry, I'm 42 years old now.
Yeah.
One of the things that in the last 10 years, with kids growing up and, everything changing as I've grown up, one of the
Mhm.
things is figuring out how to balance work and family. Is that something you have dealt with in building your business at Bob Mortgage?
Yeah, man. I don't believe in balance. I don't think you can have balance as a self-employed business owner. I mean, I've multiple businesses, and all I can believe in is harmony. That's kind of the word I choose to use, because I have to be ever present, right? So I'm present in my conversation with you, but then I have to be mindful of everything else that's going on, and be
Hmm.
ready to respond at that appropriate moment. But I have to be able to give you my undivided attention. But then at the same time, with kids and everything else, I mean, I know I got beach volleyball matches coming up this weekend. I know I'm going to have to be there, but when I'm there, I'm going to get a text, I'm going to get a phone call, and I have to be able to be available when I can, and then be able to shift when I can't be, right. And so when you're in harmony with that, you're understanding the importance of your personal life and what it means to your family and kids, but then what it also means to the other people that need you. You have to provide that next level of conversation through somebody else. They just can't wait on me, right?
Right.
So that harmony aspect gives me, I guess, the comfort to know that I can pivot when I need to pivot, bring other people in to assist, but then be there for my wife and my kids.
And
And my
be
wife, yeah, my wife is just like you, right? I mean, we've been married 25 years. She's here in Dallas, obviously doing a relationship, and doing exactly the same thing you're doing. And so she's like, we're at dinner, right? And she's like, hey, the phone's ringing. Go ahead and pick it up. I know who the
right.
agent is. I'm like, oh
Yep.
gosh, I got
And
to take that call.
I think as a customer service representative, what you have done, what I did within the music business, and now transitioning to the mortgage side, that's a huge part of our business, is being able to always be in touch. And
Well,
that
and
was,
Jordan,
I
let
think,
me ask you, yeah,
sure.
why did you get in the mortgage business? I mean, why did you choose to do this?
Well, you know what? As you and I were talking, I have always had a passion for helping people. As a tour manager, whether it was getting a call from somebody who's stuck in an airport and being able to handle it and get them where they need to be, whether it was, uh, issues with tickets for a concert, or something going on, like, I always wanted to be able to help people. And as you and I began talking, and you had an interest in expanding Bob Mortgage to Tennessee, I don't look at things as sales. I don't look like I'm out there selling a mortgage, because that's not
Yeah.
what I'm doing. I'm a
Mhm.
relationship manager. I'm providing people with an opportunity to have help in their mortgage. And, that was a big selling point for me as you and I began to discuss this position was,
Hmm.
I have so many friends that maybe it was 9, 10 years ago that they bought their house that now are paying, 4.7, and the rate now is,
Much
almost,
lower.
yeah,
Yeah.
much
Half
lower.
that.
I mean,
Right.
they could probably almost cut it in half. And
Yep.
having that ability to just inform them of that and help them, or having the ability to walk into a business management firm in Nashville that handles 100 different artists and say, hey, I understand what is important to this firm. I understand that you handle all of these different artists. Let me show you what we can do on all of these different loans that you have out if you want to refinance or if you want to do new business.
Hmm.
And just being able to make it a process that is easy, that I can hold people's hand and deliver for them. And that
Yeah.
was really a big selling point as you and I talked about all of this.
Yeah, the thing that I'll tell you, like, we vetted this out, and I talked to my brother. Obviously, my brother, I trust him with everything, and he's like, look, if you want to come into Tennessee and you want somebody to hold the flag and have just an impeccable reputation and somebody that can get in front of anybody, you got to get Jordan. That's the guy that you want, because everybody knows his character, his leadership, his servant heart. I mean, he goes, dude, he's going to get you in front of people. Now it's just up to you guys to make it happen,
That's
because
it.
he's the guy, man. And that's what I'm most excited about, because it fits our family culture. It fits everything.
Mhm.
It fits our pillars. So, brother, I'm really looking forward to doing some stuff in Tennessee. I'm looking forward to my next trip. I know we got you and my wife got stuff that are going to be booked out, and
Yep.
getting to meet some of your people, right? I mean,
I hope you're
that's
I hope
that's
you're
important.
ready to work. I mean, I've been sitting here all morning before we started, just filling up the Bob Mortgage calendar with Nashville time once you're
Good.
in.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely in for that, man. I got a great place to stay with my bro, and we'll catch up and do some really great things out there. And look, it takes time. I understand that, and the biggest thing for us is to start. We have
Sure.
you on board now. Now let's get this thing started and just have a, I don't know, just an amazing run in a career out there. So I'm looking forward to it, brother. Man, I appreciate you coming on to the live show. Been on this thing for about 40 minutes now. Hopefully we've changed. Hopefully we've impacted some people's lives just through this conversation.
Hmm.
And I'm looking forward to meeting the wife and the kids and everything else. We haven't even had a chance to do that. I got to see you the last time I was in, but haven't got to meet them. So maybe we'll do some barbecue and barbecue beer, some music, and meet the family.
Yep. Sounds great.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate it, man. Take care. Let's crush Nashville.
Okay, let's do it.
See you, man. Bye.
Bye.